I'm sick of hustle culture. A bunch of dudes telling us work is more important than everything if you want to make good money. It's overdone, it's dangerous, and it's not even true. That's why I'm excited to talk to my friend, fellow dad, and fellow accidental entrepreneur, Dylan Redekop. We talk all about finding balance to run a business while also having the life you want to have because you started your own business. So I've been thinking a lot lately about I posted this selfie reset, let me reintroduce myself thing on LinkedIn. And it's the first time I thought of the term freelancer in probably 10 years. I've been calling myself a solopreneur. And I was like, what is the difference? I started thinking I might identify more with the term freelancer than solopreneur. Because like solopreneur is someone who just starts a one person business. They probably offer a product or service. Freelancer is somebody who makes their skills available to other businesses. I think maybe fractional has replaced the term freelancer. And so I'm reading your bio, how you kind of fell into entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
You run your newsletter, but you do, I don't think this is a secret because it's very public, but you work with Chanel Basilio, and friend of the show. And
Yes.
I suspect that you do some other work too. Do you consider yourself a freelancer?
I love that question. I don't consider myself a freelancer because I feel as though a freelancer has to quote the Taken movie, a unique set of skills. Um, I do not necessarily have this unique set of skills. I'm more of I've always considered myself, ever since I heard the term generalist and specialist, I've always been like, oh, I am that. I am the generalist. So for me, I kind of use the term contractor, which is like very boring and kind of like very layman and boots to the ground kind of sounding. But that's kind of how I view myself as far as my work goes. I can do many things and I can do them competently, but am I expert at many of them? Not necessarily. So freelancer, I would not describe myself as. However, in the right situation, I could potentially pitch myself as one.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because like I feel like I don't think I would consider myself a generalist. I think I'm very good at like the unique set of skills, right? But like
Yeah.
I think I have a lot. Not to brag on myself, but like I'm working with Charlotte Crowther on my signature framework right now,
Nice.
and our
Charlotte's
first
great.
call, like she's the best.
Yeah.
But like our first call, like sent me into this spiral. Like, what do I do? What do I even do?
Who am
And
I?
yeah, right. I used to make websites and I have a master's in software engineering, but now I help people podcast, but I don't want to just, and so like, I landed on this term, like hired gun for being on the internet. Just like,
I like that. I like
can,
that.
right. And like, I feel like I land like squarely in freelancer, right? Like I can help you build a website. I
Mm-hmm.
don't do that a lot anymore, but like I can help you be online and do it well and like
Yeah.
do it like without it killing all of your time. And so like that's I've just that it was really top of mind when I read your bio. And so I wanted to ask you that straight away because on top of your newsletter and working with Chanel, do you work with anybody else that you could talk about?
When I first started working with Chanel last summer, I was doing a bit of other work with another newsletter operator and doing similar work, but also different. And it was all around newsletters. That, as I ramped things up working with Chanel, scaled that down because I wanted to put basically 95% of my focus on supporting her, and also the other percentage going towards building my own audience and newsletter. So right now that's kind of taking up most, if not all, of my working time.
Yeah. Cool. I
Yeah.
like that. Speaking of Chanel has the
Mm-hmm.
Growth in Reverse newsletter / podcast.
She does.
Your newsletter is called Growth Currency. If I don't know if anybody's put this question to you, but how would you say you are like what differences exist between your two newsletters?
Oh, that's a great question. So everybody, more people listening to this will know of Chanel than of mine. So you probably know what Chanel does. Reverse engineers how newsletter creators grew to 50,000 subscribers or more. And so she does a lot of deep dive style content where she spends hours and hours researching people, how they grew their newsletters and monetize them, and then publishes that. My content is more around at least in the beginning, I was really good at finding like curating content, opining on that curated content, sharing how I would do it, and then also writing articles about how I am growing my own newsletter, how I'm monetizing my own newsletter, and my thoughts and ideas around how to do that, including like mindset, because I started writing my newsletters like, I'm going to publish 100 weekly editions of this thing before I stop, like 100 in a row. And that was like my goal. I started on Substack, 50, geez, was that 50? No, sorry, 100 weeks later, which is about 2 years. I was able to achieve that. So I just kept that kind of framework as I was growing mine, and the newsletter has grown and evolved. And in terms of the difference between our two newsletters, I think hers is like much better content. And if I'm being completely honest, and I'm not just saying that because I'm working for her, she puts a lot of time and effort into it. Whereas mine's more of a curated sort of with opinion based newsletter. They're both focused on newsletters, but sort of different approaches.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like Chanel focuses on like what has worked, and you're focusing more on like what's working for me right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of...
That's good. That's a good angle. Yeah.
Cool. And I need to have her back on the show, I think, because the last time I interviewed her was like 150 episodes ago, streamlined.fm/319. So this is another really interesting thing, I think, is, you're a contractor for Chanel. I do contract work for both Justin Moore and RSS.com. How often do you promote the growth in reverse stuff in your podcast? Is it like when it really makes sense, or is it like every time? Like because like
you mean in my newsletter?
In your I'm sorry, in your newsletter.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if there's been an edition in the last 6 months that I've published that has not featured some whether it's the podcast or an article or something about the community or a challenge that we're doing. There's pretty much always something in there, and for me, it's a kind of the cliche rising tide lifts all boats sort of mentality that I'm going into it with, because if I grow my audience, I can grow her audience, and we can both succeed sort of together with that. So I have some stake in that too, from a professional standpoint, and just from a creator standpoint, helping out somebody who I deeply respect and admire and want to see them succeed as well.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me of, I interviewed Matt Medeiros on this podcast a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And I asked him like how he's like a friend from the WordPress space and the podcast space.
Okay.
But I was like, how do you, because he's a dad of three, he has a full-time job, he has 2 side hustles. I'm just like, how do you, right? And he mentioned like common threads make his side hustle sustainable. So like his side hustles are tangentially related to his full-time job, and his full-time job benefits from it. His side hustles benefit from it. And it sounds very similar, right? It sounds like the contract work you're doing for Chanel, there's a symbiotic relationship there, right? They're not competing for time, or one's not parasitic to your time. They are symbiotic to your time.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, and I think if you can, just on a side note, if you can find a side hustle that also benefits your 9-to-5, day job, that's really bringing home the majority of your revenue, man, that's a good place to be in. Especially if the side hustle, I don't know, if you can like figure out the fun part, the part you really enjoy about your job, where 75% of it you're just like meh, but the other 25% I like this part of my job, help grow that, improve your job. I think that's a really cool way to go. It reminds me of like Tom Orbach, who's in the Growth Reverse Pro community, who like writes about marketing ideas, and most of that content comes from his actual job, his full-time job, where he's like testing these marketing ideas or searching for new marketing ideas, and then he's like writing about them also in his newsletter. I assume with full permission from his job to do so, but he's found a lot of success doing that. So I just think, side note, that is a great strategy if you can figure that one out.
Yeah, it lends sort of credibility, right? When I was in the web development space, I would seek jobs, and there would be a clause in the contract that said like, you can't do side work.
Yeah.
And I never understood that. I understood that from we are worried you're going to burn yourself out.
Okay.
Or we are worried you're going to steal our
You're going to
clients.
poach a customer. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But like, there's a different clause for that. I was always very like, don't tell me how I can spend my time.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
unless you're going to pay for my whole life, you cannot tell me how you're going to spend, how I'm going to
Yeah.
spend my time. But also, like, the things I'm doing in my side projects, like, I'm bringing those skills to the job.
Yeah.
So, like, I never understood that. And it was always like a no for me. I was always in those interviews. This is why I'm unemployable. In those interviews, I would say, I have a side business and I'm not going to give it up for this job.
Yeah.
So if I can't do both, I'm walking away.
I mean, I would respect somebody, honestly, as somebody who's looking to hire someone who has that much conviction in what they're doing. So I think that anybody who doesn't hire you because of that obviously is not the person you want to work for. But anybody who does, I think that actually says a lot about them too, right? In terms of respect and admiration. I had a funny story that reminds me of a job I had. I'm not going to say when because I don't want to expose anybody in particular, but one of my many jobs I've had in the past, we were one of our employees who worked kind of, that I was a direct report to. He had a personal Instagram side hustle, and it was literally not making money. He had like maybe 15 followers. But I was told that I needed to have a chat with him and tell him that that was not allowed. And there was no mood. What do they call it? Moonlighting? No. Yeah.
Moonlighting is the word.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you're not allowed to moonlight while working at this place. And I thought that I'm like, I struggled very much with this conversation because I felt like a hypocrite being that I was writing, my own personal newsletter at the time and wanting to ramp that up. And I just wasn't, obviously sharing that because at least I wasn't now, especially. So I think that is a failing strategy in the world we live in. And though I understand from the business owner's perspective, they want all of your time and attention and energy to be creative energy, especially to be focused on helping him grow his business. I also think that's not realistic. So, it was a weird conversation. And that reminded me of what you just said there.
Yeah, which I mean really gets to the core of this show, right? Which is finding balance, right? The reason I left my last job is because they would say things to me like, if you want to get paid this weekend, you have, if you want to get paid, you have to work this weekend. Or like, hey, you can't go to that show tonight because you have to work late. And I'm like, yeah. And one time they were like, you have to work this weekend. And I was like, I got Hamilton tickets. See you Monday. Like, I'm not missing Hamilton for this. Okay, so let's get into like the core questions here. I think we did a really good job of like setting the table, right? Because like we're both trying to kind of do the same thing. You have a number of children, right?
I have 2. Yep.
You have 2. Okay. I wasn't sure if that was like public or if I was getting the number right.
No, that's all good.
Yeah, cool. So, with that in mind, there are like a few. I like talking about workflow and like how we work and find balance. And so, like, I know tools don't make the business, but like everybody has that tool that they rely on, right? So, like, what's one tool that you couldn't run your business without?
I'm looking at my tabs in my browser right now and scanning to see which ones are the most open. I see a lot of Google Docs. I see Loom and I see ChatGPT. So just on the face of it, those ones come to mind. I also see a Kit tab open. So those would be kind of my main tools that I am using right now. ChatGPT we could go into long talks about how that works and what we do with it, but I think you can kind of surmise the different use cases I have for it. Kit, obviously, to publish my newsletter and grow my newsletter with Creator Network, lead magnets, landing pages, all that sort of stuff. And Google Docs is where I like to spend my time writing. I don't love it as a word processor, but it just is the most cohesive piece of the puzzle, I guess, because I use Google Drive and everything like that. So I use Google Docs for a lot of ideation, first drafts, and that sort of thing.
Cool. Which actually that leads me to another question I have, which is like,
sure, where
do tasks, ideas, things that you need to do, where do they go when you think of them? Because I mean, like, inspiration can strike anytime. Right? So like when you're at your computer, where do they go? When you're out and about, how do you handle that?
So I'm horrible with, I mentioned commitment phobia. I'm horrible with like note taking, idea gathering. So I've got a workbook here where I write down ideas. I've got a Google tab open over here where I have, it's literally called ideas. I have, I have Google Notes where not Google Notes, sorry. What is it? Google Keep. I think it's like a notepad, sort of
Oh
like
yeah.
Apple Notes, I think, for
Are you an
Google.
Android guy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Google and Android. So I use that for ideas, usually more so when I'm out. And then I'll also, when I'm out, I'll just fire up ChatGPT and like record an idea or and get it to like either remind me of it, which I haven't done often lately actually, or kind of spitball like when I'm driving. I'll turn it on safely and just
Yeah.
do like the voice chat with it while I'm driving through like Bluetooth.
Yeah. This is really interesting because if you talked to like 5 years ago me, I would be like, people talking to their phone is unhinged. And now I think I probably talk more than I type. Like the first time I got a voice note from somebody, like an audio note from somebody instead of text, I'm like, what the hell is this? And now it's like my preferred method for sending and receiving.
Dang. Excuse me. So when you say that, do you mean like voice dictation to text message or literally voice note send?
Voice note send.
Interesting.
I think
okay.
you know Sarah Loretta?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. So like the first time it was her, and I'm like, God Almighty, what is this? That I have to like stop what I'm listening to listen to this, and now it's like, yeah, this is way more convenient for me.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm like got my hands full with whatever else I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. An example of I did that this morning, similar but not. So it was voice to text, so not quite the same. But I wanted to send my wife an update. We dropped my daughter off at kids camp today, and she was struggling a bit. So I got a call from the camp director, and so I just wanted to give my wife an update, but I didn't want to type it all out. So I just fired up Whisperflow on my computer, spoke into this mic, and dictated it. Whisperflow cut out all of my ums and uhs, and it even like put the right like quotations mark, like she said, da da da, Dad, I don't want to be here, and I said, don't worry, honey, I know you can do this, and like it was just like, wow, that was so much faster. Even though I sent it as a text, it was just still so much faster than just typing it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and maybe this is indicative of the tool getting better.
Yep.
But like, I do the same thing with Whisper Memo, or like now it's like that's an iPhone app that like works on my watch and has a shortcut. So like when I'm driving, right?
Yes.
But that also has like Zapier hooks built in. So if I start a voice note with like article idea, it'll send it to a specific Zapier.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah. And like same thing, like it'll clean everything up and do whatever it needs to do. And like that's just I have not felt it good enough to replace me sitting down and actually writing at my writing app. But I do find it better than just like writing article about Aaron Judge, Joe Torre. Like I would look at that like a day later and be like, what does that mean? Whereas like if I'm just like talking at my phone for like a minute and then it turns into like a loose kind of fat outline, I found that really helpful.
Wait, do you rate Yankee content?
I wish. The Yankees are in a lot of my analogies, especially during the baseball season, because
of course
it's what I watch like every game more or less as long as I can.
Holy smokes! No wonder you have to automate everything in your life. You gotta have time to watch a ton of baseball.
I know, right? And like if there's like I love afternoon games, like love them. And so I try very hard not to miss those. I don't have them on my calendar. I'm not that extreme, but like, if I don't have meetings or something, like I'm probably watching the game. I think like a lot of us struggle with like, or at least I've been thinking about this a lot. I don't want to stop playing with my kids to write down an idea. And I also don't want to lose that idea. And I think it's probably like, some of them are, I used to be really bullish on like no lost ideas, right? No idea left behind. And now I think it's kind of like, well, priorities, and some ideas are going to be lost. And probably most of them are not very good anyway.
Yeah. I think it's a good mindset to have. I am probably not great at that, although I found myself in the last, year and a half to really be letting go of the working when I'm not working kind of mindset. When I was working more so in the corporate world, and like my free time was also my like side hustle time, my newsletter writing time, my ideation time, but it was also obviously my family time. And so those two worlds collided a little bit more frequently. I remember I came up with the name growth currency while I was playing with my 2-year-old daughter on her landing. Like it was just like, so I did the thing where I'm like, ooh, I got to take the like voice. I can't remember if it's a voice note or I just wrote it down, but I'm like, I like that. So I'm going to, keep that.
Yeah.
And my daughter was 2, so she probably didn't even clue in that I was doing that. But I think there's a time and a place for like a good idea that you definitely don't want to go. I think people will forgive you if you take a whole 20 seconds and do that. But at the same time, you don't want to every 5 minutes be taking 20 seconds or every 2 minutes be taking 20 seconds, distracting yourself. Your kids are going to pick up on that pretty quick, that you are not fully engrossed in the activity and that you're distracted. And whether they say anything or not, that leaves a bit of an impression on them. So I think that a really good idea will probably come back to you. I'd like to even venture a guess if you don't have a chance to write it down or you don't want to show that you're being distracted. So, and if it doesn't, somebody else will grab that idea out of the ether and run with it. And, you can just give them a hat tip and say, you're welcome, because I passed on that.
Yeah. I put it out there. Yeah. It's like,
exactly.
It's like everybody who says, I said this, I thought of Facebook before Facebook. Right. And so I'm like, oh, I could have made Facebook. And no,
Yeah.
I could have made a website
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
worked like
exactly.
Facebook.
No, there's only one Mark Zuckerberg. And so
as far as we know, at least.
yeah, fair. No, what I mean by that is, he is obviously a very driven is an understatement, but he's a certain person, and he took Facebook to where it is because of how compelled and how driven and how convicted he was on the idea and on the business, and the Vander Boss or whatever the twins name that he stole the idea from. Yeah. Like whether he did or he didn't, he took it to the level that I don't think they would have been able to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, case in point, right? Like they have Winklevoss.
Thank you.
I was like, this is close, but I
Van Winkle, Wonder Boss. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Right.
I knew I had something there. Right.
Yeah. I mean, like case in point, right? Like it's not like they came from nothing. They came from money, and they became crypto bros for a while. Maybe they still are, but like
they should have stuck with it.
Yeah, absolutely, right.
Hope for their sake they did.
NFTs, baby.
Yeah,
but So you're right. Like it takes a lot more than just an idea, and I think remembering that is important, and capturing the ones that really feel good is all. Like taking 20 seconds, I think, like you said, is probably fine. Also, probably the reason I do a lot more dictation now. Yeah, because I'm like a slow. I never got like T9. I think we're of a similar age where you remember T9 texting.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I couldn't do that.
No.
And now it's like I just like can't. I think it's because I downgraded from the iPhone. Not downgraded. I went from the iPhone Pro Max to the iPhone Pro.
Oh.
And like the size difference is just enough that I keep messing up typing. But,
oh my God. That's hilarious.
Anyway. Okay, so I really like this. Let's talk about like a good work day for you. Like what would you consider a productive day?
Man, that's a good question, because a productive day for me is less about how much work I got done. It's more about, I think, how I felt, how my energy was, how distracted I was, so to some degree, how much work I got done. But really, it's just like, man, did I feel good about the progress I made on things and the focus and time and attention I put into things today? Or was I just like a shit show of, I woke up, I had coffee, then I wrote an email, then I got up and had another coffee, and then, I said goodbye to my kids, and then I came back and I, started writing out something else and got distracted by a text message. Like, you know what I mean? Like all of these interruptions, did I give into the interruptions or did I stay focused and on task? So I think for me, a good work day is one where I feel good about the focus and energy I put into the day, and not necessarily like, man, I cranked out 8 hours of solid work today. It's like, hey, I cranked out like 5 hours of focus, like building, energy focused, moving the, what is it, like the $10,000 an hour work, as opposed to the $10 an hour work.
Yes, I'm gonna credit He with that. That he's the first person I heard it from. Right.
That's it.
He was also on the podcast. I guess I'll link to a bunch of previous episodes.
There you go. There you go.
I was psyched about that. Right.
No kidding.
So, but I think this is such a great way to look at it, right? Because like I can have days where I worked a lot. Like I've pulled a couple of 12-hour days recently because I've been taking full days off to spend with my parents because they're visiting as we record this.
Yeah.
And my wife will be like, "How was your day?" And I'm like, "I got a lot done." I didn't necessarily, I did like a lot of context switching, and there was, just like distractions and things like that. But then like the days that feel really good are the days where I feel like I did good work. I think that's a really, really important thing to think about. And I think like, again, I'm giving myself, as the guy who talks about systems and processes and time boxing and stuff like that, like I'm giving myself grace because I have ceded priority to my children while they're home for the summer and my family while they're home for the summer. And so like the business is a little bit more chaotic in the service of maybe spending more time with my family. The
things that really matter, maybe, potentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think like that's a really interesting, that's a really good answer, I think. Now I don't want to embarrass you, but when we met,
that's very hard to do.
Yeah, great, perfect. When we met in Boise in real life earlier this summer, it turns out you're like jacked, you're like super fit. How do you? This is like around hobbies because I think we all have hobbies.
Yeah,
or we all should have hobbies. How do you make time for things like that? I assume you go to the gym. You got to tell me you go to the gym because if you're like, no, I'm just like this, I'd be really sad. But like family, business.
Yeah.
And then, staying healthy or whatever it is you choose to do with your free time.
Yeah. Well, don't hate me because I hate the gym and I don't go. But I've got so I do still a form of workout, like push-up bars.
Okay.
I do push-ups. I have a pull-up bar in my garage. So I like to do challenges.
Stuff. Okay.
I do stuff. Yeah. I do more. I like more like calisthenic, like body weight workouts as opposed to big, heavy grunting, pushing weights around, which trust me, I would love to do if I didn't totally mess up my back doing that 10 years ago. So I just really can't do it anymore. And so my workouts are that, but even more so, I got into triathlon like 2 years ago. And so I had an old bike my dad gave me. I'm like, hey, I can run. I like to run. And I got a bike. I just need to figure out how to swim. So now my workouts are not going to gym, but instead spending time doing one of those three things. So not every day. I'd love to do it every day, but time permitting, I'll do one or maybe two of those kind of training sessions per day. I'd love to do it during my lunch break, midday. And then like tonight, for example, I probably won't have a run today, but I have a running club I'm part of in the evenings. And so that does take a bit of time away from family, but they do also sometimes come out, especially in the summertime when it's nice out, and they'll hang out at the park that we're doing like track drills at, and I'll still see them and they're still like a part of it. It's when it comes to that sort of, balancing family, hobbies / fitness and work, sometimes some of those things have to join up together. So that's an example of when they do join up, but otherwise, I can typically do it when people are either at school or at work. So I'm not taking time away from my wife and my kids to train, although I will still go for maybe an hour-long run on the weekend, or ride. But I try not to let that interfere too much with time off of work.
Yeah. But like oh gosh, I almost said double click. I hate saying that. But like I think to drive home this point, right? Like restorative time is important, right? Like my wife and I, we don't want to say it explicitly in front of the kids, like when we can tell one of us is getting annoyed and frustrated and maybe not being the best parent we can be.
Yeah.
And so we'll say, do you need a break? Right. And like,
Mm-hmm.
that's our code for this isn't a question. Go away.
Yeah.
Like go
Yeah.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm. My wife has sent me away a few times because of
Yeah.
similar. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, go for a
Mine
run.
too. Interestingly, my wife is less likely to take that directive when I say it though. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she's been better over the summer though. I think it's like,
That's
it's
good.
hard, right? Cause she works like 3 12-hour shifts. And so, as a
Wow.
nurse, yeah.
Wow.
So like, it's hard. I'm more willing to take it because I am home all the time. And when the kids are home and I'm home, I see them, but like,
Mm-hmm.
she'll leave the house before the kids wake up and get home after at least the littles are
In bed.
in bed. And so on the day she's home, I think she feels like she needs to maximize time with them. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like, I mean, like you said about productivity, like 4 good hours with your kid is better than 5 crappy hours with your kid, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if that 1
Works
hour
the
is
same
going
way.
to make you a better parent for the rest of the 4, then go for it, right?
It's true. It's true. I could just get, I don't know, grumpy, down a little bit if I don't get a little bit of that in over a period of time. I'm not saying like I have to do it every day, but if it's been like
Yeah.
3 or 4 days and I'm like, man, I haven't done anything for my own personal health and fitness.
Yeah.
And it's also like a meditative time. Like I love, I mentioned I joined a run group, which is fun, but I love mostly training on my own and just like being outside, being with my own thoughts. Usually that's a good thing. Sometimes not, but yeah, being with my own thoughts, pushing myself, being proud of the fact that I'm, hopefully extending my life a little bit by
Right.
exercising and also being a good role model for my kids where they see, hey, dad enjoys being physically active and he likes doing, he has passion around it. And so it's not this thing that they feel that they have to do or that is like a kind of torture or anything like that. So, yeah, I think it's important. At least it's important for me. And that hobby might not be obviously physical activity for other people, but it might be whether it's even like gaming or just chilling out watching Netflix or gardening or I woodworking. It can be anything.
Right.
But as long you have to take some of that time for yourself so that you can fill that bucket and then be more present for your family.
Yeah, for sure. And we all need that restorative time, right? You know, our battery gets low, we need to recharge.
Yeah.
That's what the shed with the Yankee game and the cigar. That's what
Yeah.
right? Like,
Exactly.
Though I am trying to the gym is work for me. I don't like
There you go.
working out. I shouldn't say that. I like how I feel after I work out because I give maximum effort, right?
Yes.
I don't like read, like, there are people who are like on the treadmill, like reading or watching
Yeah.
TV and they're just
Yeah.
no, I have to be like gripping for dear life. If I'm not like drenched, if my shirt is not a darker shade when I'm done, I don't feel like I worked out enough, but it's like
Yeah.
the inertia of getting to the gym is the thing that's like the hard part for me.
Yeah. The black shirt better be blacker, by the time you're done with your workout. Yeah.
I always wear a gray shirt, right? Because you can tell when you've sweat through that thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I can tell, so can everybody here. I work
That's
my
right.
ass off,
Everyone
folks.
knows.
Damn.
Yeah, wild, right? Okay, so we've been talking. I feel like we've covered a lot of different topics, but there's this thread through it, right? Like,
There's through line,
how
yeah.
are we building our lives to be successful business owners in our own right, and then also be present for our family? What's something in your business or your workflow that needs improvement?
Most of it. I say that kind of jokingly, but also I'm probably my own worst critic. So I always, many days I feel like I could have done more. And this goes back to the other question you asked. And those days where I feel like I had a really solid energy day where I was not distracted, where I was not this and that. I wish those days were more frequent. So not necessarily a workflow or anything like that, but I need to button down the number of distractions I have. So a really simple, basic thing I could do is just throw my phone out in a different room. I find myself when like Descript is taking a while to load, I'm like, got to get out my phone and do whatever, whether it's check a text message or scroll Instagram or check my fantasy football team. Like I will find something to distract me while that wheel is spinning. Right. But that's stupid. Like I have a computer here that I could just tab over. So I don't need the phone here to distract me from that. And B, it also turns 30 seconds into like maybe 10 minutes of, pointless scrolling. So I think eliminating distractions basically is what I'm trying to say here is probably the biggest opportunity I could have in making my days more productive. It's easier said than done, but I think it's a simple step that I could move towards with more focused work and focused time.
Yeah, that's a great one, and it's something that we all struggle with, right? Like I keep my phone here because I usually have it in the standby mode for iPhone, and it has the time, but it also has my current time tracker.
Oh, nice.
So like
okay.
I do. That's like the way that I know if I'm time tracking. But if my watch buzzes too much, I have a button on my Stream Deck to turn on the most aggressive focus mode, like do not disturb mode on my phone.
Ooh.
So that only my wife can break through.
I like
something happens, right? And my
the
kids'
important,
schools. Yeah. Which actually my kids' school now, because my youngest is moving to where the big kids are. She's out of daycare, and my wallet is happy, and I'm happy.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
Right. Now we're gonna get to a rapid fire question, but there is one more question I want to ask. I think this is really, I like this question especially for contractors, generalists, the guns for hire, freelancers, or whatever. How do you manage client communications without it taking over your whole day? Because there are some days where I feel like I am a chronic email checker. I don't have any social apps on my phone, and so when I'm mindlessly scrolling, I go to the email app and then my CGM, my glucose monitor app, and then I just repeat that cycle. So like, what do you do to manage client communications?
So good question. So right now my main client is Chanel. And so we don't really have any hard and fast rules about communication. So we honestly do a lot of SMS texts, back and forth. And I've got an app on my computer that just connects to my Google messages. And I assume she does as well for her iPhone. And so we definitely communicate most frequently, quickly that way. Email is less frequent. And then we also will use whatever project management tool we are currently working with, because we've changed a few times. We will also send messages in there. But sorry, I should also mention Loom and Tela. So we have a few different ways of communicating. My preferred method is, especially just like quick, fast, and easy, is like send me text or I send her text, and we get back to each other relatively quickly that way. And it doesn't take up too much time. Like drafting an email, opening up Gmail, potentially getting distracted by something else in our inbox, trying to type out what we want to say, coming up with a email subject line. Not that this is like a marketing thing, but just like all these little things that we have to think about take up so much more time than they probably need to. So email is a less used way of communication. So, but if I was dealing with a new client, that would probably be the predominant way I would go. That being said, I still love using Loom or some kind of video capture tool where I can just like speak and show. And Loom is big on like, you saved a meeting. And I'm also like, well, I probably also saved an email to some degree, at least writing an email that may not translate. Whereas if I just record my screen and my voice and show you what I'm doing or what I need or what I think you could improve on or need help with, then that's going to save a lot of time and energy and trying to decode the message that I am encoding. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, so let me ask, because I don't think I'm ever going to be able to find this app again, but when I was Android Army, the thing that I hated the most was I couldn't send texts from my computer. And there was an app, I think it was called like Mighty Chat, or I think Many Chat, but also that's another thing. Like there are a lot of AI bots now called with the word chat. So I can't remember it, but like, is it just like Google Chat now for you?
No. Yeah, it's Google. Well, it's Google Messages. So the same app that comes on your phone That is
Yeah.
basically their SMS messaging system.
Okay.
It would be iMessage, but for Android.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
you can just download that right to your desktop. So it's sitting in my taskbar on my
Yeah.
Windows computer. So much better than probably what you were dealing with back however long ago that was.
Yeah. Over a decade now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And it was like a whole big thing. God, I'm gonna have to. It's probably on my blog. I'll find it later. Okay. Well, I'm hearing the footsteps of upstairs. Hopefully, you're not. Otherwise, my setup is not doing its job.
I cannot hear footsteps. You're good.
Fantastic. And so, but that means that we're almost out of time. And so, I want to do a couple of rapid fire questions for you. Email service provider. I know the answer to this one.
Kit.
What's your favorite calendar app?
Ugh, I hate calendar apps. So sorry, let me rephrase that. Are we talking about just like what do you use for your calendar, like Google Calendar, or are you
What
talking
do
about
you
like
use-
booking calendar links, like booking links and stuff?
Ooh, great question. I was thinking like, what do you use for? I use Fantastical for my calendar, and I suspect most people just use the stock calendar app on their phone.
Google
That's the way,
Calendar.
I
And
think
it
you
sucks.
mentioned, yeah, Fantastical is Apple ecosystem only, but it's amazing. I pay $60 a year for it. Oh my god, $60 a year for it, and it's super.
Oh, that's not
worth it.
bad.
Yeah, right. For a thing I'm in every day.
Yeah.
Note taking. I know you mentioned this already, but what's your note taking app of choice?
I will go with Google Keep just because I use it sometimes on my computer, but often on my phone. And
Okay.
that's where I will take quick notes. But if I'm on my computer and I have ideas, I just throw open a Google Doc.
All right, Google Doc. Would you say like Google Doc is like your personal knowledge management system? Have you heard PKM as a thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so terrible with that stuff.
Yeah.
So my personal knowledge management, my PKM is everything.
Nice, love that.
Yeah. It sucks.
File storage. I think you mentioned Google Drive. You use anything else?
I have used what do you call them when like physical drives?
External drive? Yeah.
Because I'm running out of space on my Google Drive and on my computer. So no, it's pretty much strictly Google Drive that I use.
Awesome. And then last thing, and I'm keenly interested in this because you said you and Chanel have switched a lot, but project management. What are you currently using for that?
Okay, so I don't know how much I should say about this because it's not necessarily public knowledge, but there have been a few. There have been a few popular ones that we've tried. We've tried using Notion, and I've had over the last 6 or 7 years a lot of like, hey, I'm gonna try Notion. I'm gonna get good at it, and then like falling off it, and then trying to like, okay, everybody's using this. There's got to be something I'm missing, and then it's just constant battle of like, it just doesn't work for me, for my brain, for the way I work, for the way I organize things. And so we were using that, and we used it for the better part of the year. But we've recently switched to something else. And I mean, I don't know why I'm keeping it. We started using Trello because it was like, honestly, so simple.
Yeah.
And we're both very ADHD. And it's just like, no, I just need to see everything and then be able to like move things simply. Definitely like limited functionality in terms of like how deep you can go with it and how you can make things more. I don't know. Like Notion, you can do so much with, but that was part of the problem.
Right.
So we just love we love the box that is Trello, and it's just so easy for us to see where things are, where they need to go, who's doing what, and the different, like, it's just, we've only been using it for a few weeks, but it's been a bit of a game changer. So will we stick with it? We'll see. But that's where we're at right now.
Well, I like that. I like that you're evaluating it, because I think like I use Notion now, but like also like I for some reason need to customize all the views for everything forever. Notion works for me for that, right?
Yeah, that's
awesome. Good. Dylan, this has been great.
It has.
If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
You can find me on you can find me on LinkedIn. You can subscribe to my newsletter at growthcurrency.net. And you just, search Dylan Redekop on LinkedIn. I think I am the only one. I'm sure Joe will probably throw that in the show notes. I don't really hang out on Twitter anymore. And geez, yeah, those are kind of the two main places you'll find me.
All right. So yeah, I will link all of that in the show notes over at streamlined.fm or wherever you happen to be listening and or watching this. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, I hope you find some space in your week. Now, if you want to figure out how you can find balance while running your business to actually have a life, check out my business overwhelm diagnostic over at streamlined.fm/overwhelm.